close your eyes for a moment and hear this, not as a statement, but as a decision. I am a multimillionaire from today. Feel the weight of those words. Not tomorrow, not someday, not after years of struggle. From today. Now let me ask you something. Why did something inside you just resist that? Why did a quiet voice whisper, no, that's not true? That voice is the only thing standing between you and everything you desire. Because the world you are living in right now is not created by your effort. It is created by your assumption. And your assumption has been trained, conditioned, hypnotized to accept lack as reality. You wake up and you check your bank balance. You look at your circumstances. You measure your life through what you can see, touch, and prove. And without realizing it, you bow down to it. You call it facts. But I tell you, what you call facts are nothing but shadows. Shadows of what you have been believing over and over again in the silence of your own mind. You say, I want to be rich. But inside, you feel money is hard. You say, I deserve abundance. But inside, you fear, what if I lose it? You say, I will be successful. But inside, you are rehearsing failure. Do you see the contradiction? You are not manifesting what you want. You are manifesting what you are. And what you are is nothing more than the sum of what you believe to be true about yourself. So when you say, I am a multimillionaire from today, this is not a lie. This is not imagination in the childish sense. This is a declaration of identity. And identity is the only creative power in this universe. You have been taught to believe that money comes from outside, from jobs, from business, from luck, from opportunity. But that is the illusion. Money does not come from the outside. It flows from the state of consciousness you occupy. And right now, most people are living in the state of not enough. Even when they have money, they fear losing it. Even when they succeed, they feel like imposters. Even when opportunity knocks, they hesitate because their identity has not changed. And life will never give you more than what your identity can sustain. So listen carefully. If you want to become a multimillionaire, you do not start with action. You start with assumption. You assume the feeling of being the one who already has it, not logically, not forcefully, but naturally, as if it is already done, as if it has always been yours. Now pause and ask yourself honestly, what would it feel like if you truly were a multimillionaire right now? Not pretending, not hoping, but knowing. Would you feel anxious about money? Would you worry about bills? Would you hesitate before making decisions? No, you would feel calm, certain, relaxed. There would be a quiet confidence in you, a stillness, a knowing that nothing can take it away from you, that it is yours, that it is part of who you are. And this feeling, this inner atmosphere is the secret, because your outer world is nothing but a mirror reflecting your inner state. If you feel lack, you will see lack. If you feel struggle, you will experience struggle. If you feel abundance, life will rearrange itself to match that feeling. But here is where most people fail. They try to feel rich while constantly checking if it is working. They try to believe while secretly doubting. They imagine and then immediately cancel it with fear. And then they say, this doesn't work. But it is always working, always. Every thought, every feeling, every assumption is planting a seed in the invisible. And those seeds must grow. They have no choice. So the question is not, is this real? The question is, what are you planting? Because right now, whether you realize it or not, you are already manifesting your future. With every reaction, with every belief, with every inner conversation, you are writing your destiny line by line, moment by moment. And if you continue to say, I am trying to, I'm a multimillionaire, then you will always remain in the state of trying but never arriving. Because trying is not an identity. It is a delay. It is distance. It is separation from what you desire. But when you say, I am a multimillionaire, from today, you collapse time. You remove the distance. You step into the state where it is already yours. And from that state, everything begins to change. Not instantly on the outside, but immediately on the inside. And that is where the real transformation begins. You will notice your thoughts shifting, your reactions softening, your fears losing their grip. You will start to think differently, walk differently, speak differently. Not because you are forcing it, but because your identity is changing. And identity naturally expresses itself. You don't have to act rich. You become the person for whom wealth is normal. And when wealth becomes normal, it must appear. It cannot not appear, because the world has no choice but to reflect who you believe yourself to be. Now here is something deeper, something most people are not ready to hear. You do not attract what you want. You select the version of reality that matches your state. There are infinite versions of your life existing right now. A version where you struggle, a version where you survive, a version where you thrive, and a version where you are already a multimillionaire. That version exists right now, not in the future, not as a possibility, but as a reality. And the only thing separating you from that version is your state of consciousness. So when you change your assumption, you are not creating something new. You are shifting into the version of reality where it already exists. This is why effort alone will never make you rich, because effort without identity leads to exhaustion. But identity requires no force. It simply is. Now feel this right now as you are listening to this. There is a version of you living in complete financial freedom, breathing differently, thinking differently, experiencing life differently. And that version of you is not separate from you. It is you, but you have not accepted it yet. You have not claimed it yet, because you are still asking for permission from the world, still waiting for evidence, still looking for proof. But the truth is, you must become the proof. You must decide before the world agrees. You must believe before it appears. You must feel before it manifests. This is the law, unchanging, absolute. Now listen closely, because what I am about to reveal is where everything begins to shift, and very few people truly understand this. The moment you say, I am a multimillionaire from today, you are not just saying words. You are issuing a command to reality. But reality does not respond to words. It responds to conviction, to feeling, to assumption. So if you say it, but you don't feel it, nothing changes. But if you say it, and something inside you clicks, even slightly, even for a moment, then the process has already begun. And once it begins, it cannot be stopped, because you have moved from wishing to knowing, and knowing is creation. Now here is the turning point, the part where everything either transforms or falls apart, because as soon as you begin to assume this new identity, your old self will fight back. Old thoughts will rise. Old fears will whisper louder than ever before. Doubts will appear, stronger, more convincing, almost as if reality is testing you. And in that moment, most people quit. They say, see, it's not working. They go back to their old identity, their old beliefs, their old limitations. But what if I told you that this resistance is actually the sign that you are doing it right? That the discomfort, the doubt, the inner conflict is not failure, but transformation? Because you are not just changing your life, you are changing yourself. And the old self will not disappear quietly. It will demand attention. It will try to pull you back. It will show you every reason why this cannot be true. And this exact moment is where your power is revealed. Because if you can remain faithful to your new identity, even when nothing on the outside confirms it, even when everything seems the same, even when your senses scream otherwise, then something extraordinary begins to happen. Something invisible, yet undeniable. Something that starts deep within you and slowly, silently, begins to reshape the world around you. But what is that exact moment? That exact shift that separates those who truly manifest wealth from those who remain stuck in the cycle forever. What is the one inner act that locks this identity into reality and makes it impossible to go back, and makes it impossible to go back? It is this: the moment you stop negotiating with your old self, the moment you no longer ask, is this true? And instead, you decide, this is who I am. Do you feel the difference? One is a question. The other is authority. And reality only answers to authority. Not effort, not struggle, not desperation. Authority. The kind of inner authority that does not shout, does not beg, does not explain. It simply knows. This is the transformation, not when money appears, not when circumstances change, but the exact second you accept your new identity without needing proof. That is the moment you cross the invisible line. Before that, you are hoping. After that, you are becoming. And once you are becoming, there is no force in this world that can stop what is unfolding. Because you are no longer reacting to life, you are directing it. Now listen carefully, because what I am about to show you is not just a concept, it is a doorway into the version of you that already exists. And this doorway is your imagination. Not imagination as fantasy, not imagination as escape, but imagination as reality itself. Everything you see around you was once imagined. Every building, success, began as a thought, held with belief, and what you consistently imagine with feeling must become your experience. Not might, must, because imagination is not separate from reality. It is the cause of it. So if you want to step into the life where you are a multimillionaire, you must first live there, in your imagination, not occasionally, not weekly, but fully, completely, as if it is happening now. And this is where most people misunderstand the process. They visualize once and then return to doubt. They imagine for a few minutes and then go back to fear. But the secret is not in imagining once. It is in becoming familiar with the feeling. So familiar that it feels natural. So natural that it feels normal. Because what feels normal becomes your reality. So I want you to do something, not later, not tomorrow, but now as you listen. Close your eyes again and step into a scene. A simple scene, but powerful. See yourself checking your bank account, and instead of anxiety, there is calm, there is abundance. The numbers are not shocking, they feel expected, natural. Of course it looks like this. Of course you have this much. Feel it. Not the numbers, but the feeling, the relief, the certainty, the quiet confidence. Stay there just for a moment. And now, notice something subtle. Your body begins to relax. Your breathing changes. Your mind becomes still. And for that brief moment, you are not trying to be rich. You are rich. This is the state. This is the secret. And if you can return to this state again and again, day after day, without forcing, without questioning, then something begins to happen beneath the surface. Your subconscious mind, the part of you that creates your reality, begins to accept this as truth. And once it accepts something as truth, it will move heaven and earth to make it visible. You will find yourself making different decisions, taking actions you didn't plan, meeting people you didn't expect. Opportunities will appear, not by chance, but by alignment, because you are no longer chasing wealth, you are expressing it. And expression always finds a way. Now understand this deeply. You do not need to know how. The how is not your responsibility. The moment you try to control the how, you return to limitation. Your only responsibility is to remain faithful to the state, faithful to the feeling, faithful to the identity, even when nothing outside reflects it yet, because there is always a delay, a bridge of incidents, a series of events that must unfold. And if you interfere with doubt, if you look at your current reality and say, nothing is changing, you interrupt the process. But if you remain still, if you remain certain, if you remain aligned, then the unseen begins to arrange the scene in ways you could never predict, in ways that feel almost magical. But it is not magic, it is law. Now let me take you deeper. Because there is a level beyond visualization, a level beyond imagination, a level where manifestation becomes effortless. And that level is living in the end. Living in the end does not mean imagining occasionally. It means thinking from the result, not of it. There is a difference. When you think of something, you are separate from it. When you think from it, you are inside it. So instead of asking, how will I become a multi-millionaire? You begin to think like one. You begin to ask, what do I invest in next? What opportunities feel right? What expands my wealth? Do you see the shift? You are no longer chasing. You are operating from the identity. And when you do this consistently, your outer world begins to reorganize itself to match your inner world, because it has no choice. It must. Now here it is where it becomes powerful and also dangerous if misunderstood. Because whatever you assume with conviction will manifest, not just wealth, everything. So if you assume fear, fear will grow. If you assume lack, lack will multiply. If you assume limitation, you will experience it. This law does not judge. It does not filter. It simply reflects. So you must become aware of what you are accepting as true, because your life is nothing but a mirror of your accepted truths. And the moment you change what you accept, your life begins to change. Not slowly, but instantly on the inside, and then gradually on the outside. Now feel this deeply. There is nothing you need to earn, nothing you need to prove, nothing you need to deserve. You are not becoming worthy of wealth. You are recognizing that you already are, because consciousness is the only reality, and you are that consciousness. So when you say, I am a multi-millionaire, you are not lying. You are selecting. You are choosing. You are stepping into a version of yourself that has always existed. And the more you remain in that state, the more real it becomes. Until one day, without warning, without struggle, your outer world reflects it so clearly that you can no longer deny it. And others will look at you and call it luck. They will say, you are fortunate, you are gifted, you are different. But they will never see the inner shift that created it. They will never understand that it all began with a single decision, a quiet decision made within. Now listen carefully, because this is where everything becomes irreversible. The moment you truly accept this, the moment it clicks, you will never see life the same way again. You will no longer feel powerless. You will no longer feel at the mercy of circumstances. You will no longer wait for opportunities, because you will realize that you are the source, not a part of it, not connected to it, but the source itself. And from that realization, a new way of living emerges. You begin to walk differently, speak differently, think differently, not because you are trying, but because you have changed. And when you change, everything changes. So from this moment, stop asking if it is possible. Stop wondering when it will happen. Stop looking for signs. Instead, return to the state. Again and again. Feel it, live it, breathe it, until it becomes you. Because the truth is, you are not waiting for wealth to arrive. Wealth is waiting for you to become the person who already has it. And the moment you do, even slightly, even imperfectly, the world will begin to move, quietly, powerfully, in your favor. Doors will open, paths will appear, people will enter your life at the exact moment you need them, and it will all feel as if it was meant to happen. But you will know the truth. You will know that it was not chance, it was not luck, it was not timing, it was you. It was always you. And now, there is only one question left. Will you return to your old identity, or will you remain as the one who has already arrived?